le amohela ho Motswako re a leboha ha lena le rena bosiung bona tlotla e tlameha ho ya ho batjha bokgoni ba bona ba ho lobokanya maemo bo ntshetsa setjhaba pele mme makgarebe ana bosiung bona a totobatsa ho ba bang ba baeti ba rona ke ba banyenyane ka ho fetisisang mme ba bohlale haholo naheng ya rona mona ebile ba finyella ntho tseo ba bang ba nkang bophelo kaofela ho di etsa. Ha re amoheleng ka studio Masechaba le Ntombi ke a leboha haholo ha lena le rona.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Masechaba tla ke qala ka wena ha o shebile o bona batjha e le bona ba leng ba bapala karolo e kae mona Afrika Borwa?
Mina bantu abasha, young people of South Africa, I think they play such an important role in stimulating the economy, in creating new ideas that do stimulate the economy. We are the mouthpieces of other young people who do not have platforms like us right now to engage and share knowledge. Exactly. I mean, what connected Ntombi and I was a breakfast that we had with the Deputy President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. And at the breakfast, we really had such a fantastic opportunity to meet other dynamic black female professionals from across disciplines.
Lirata tuto, education.
Yes, yeah, because I mean, as a black person, you have to start to go far. Because the thing is, where I'm from in the townships, the only way to get what you want to succeed is through education. And obviously, when you're from a township school, there's not so many facilities that could help you because there's so many students, you don't get all the attention as a student. So education is the way to go.
Sure. Your marks for matric. Wow. You got 100% for maths.
Yes.
Dude, how did you do that?
I mean, I guess I've always had love for maths. From primary school, I just knew I could do maths, but I didn't know what I could do with it. I didn't know that I could actually study at varsity and do maths. I mean, it was a doctor, social. That's all I knew, a lawyer. But I didn't know that I could do something with my maths.
And what are you doing with your maths now?
Oh, I'm studying a BSc with astronomy and astrophysics.
What does that mean in English?
I would just say it's space physics. So you study the stars, the dust in space, the moon, stuff like that.
Wow. I mean, you've just come back from Japan. Tell me about it.
Yes, I've just returned from Japan 3 months ago. I completed a global MBA, of which I was afforded a full scholarship by the Prime Minister of Japan, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. So I was one of the few, after a very competitive process, to represent South Africa in Japan.
How long were you in Japan?
I was in Japan for 2 years and 1 month.
Okay.
Yes.
Full 2 years?
Full 2 years.
No break, so you didn't come back?
I did come back for research last March. And then I went back to complete my thesis and I graduated in September 2016.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations. Let's watch this. Motlatsa Presidente o theoletsa kaofela ha lona ba ipabotseng lo tla re abela dipale mme le rotloetsa ba bang. Jwale ho Motswako re finyelletse borakafeseng eo a ko shebe.
What we are doing today is really to create a forum for discussion, exchanging views. That's what I'd like us to do, exchange views, have free-flowing conversation. We encourage one another, and by so doing, we will also be encouraging others. I want you to advise me on a number of issues that young women like yourselves are encountering as challenges. How can we solve them? How can we address them? Come up with ideas. So I want this encounter today to be a dynamic one, to be fulfilling for all of us, and to be the type that can lead to something that's very exciting. So what we're going to do, we're going to do introductions.
I am Nandipa Kumalo. I am from Uppington in the Northern Cape. I am the mentor and the founder and mentor for my sister Masechaba. It's a movement for young girls. But all in all, I am a civil society leader.
I'm Ntombi Zulu, all the way from KZN. I'm studying at VETS. I'm doing my undergrad with astrophysics and mathematics as my majors. I love maths and I love physics, and it's more amazing now because I get to do this space physics and get to know what's happening in the universe. And it's such a big achievement for me because I'm from the rural areas. I grew up in a township where I went to one of the underperforming schools, so most people from there don't get to actually achieve and get to do maths and be at Vets University, so it's such an achievement for me.
My name is Masechaba, and my journey began as a social entrepreneur in 2003 when I won Miss Teen South Africa, and I've always been passionate about education. So my academic journey started at the University of Johannesburg, where I completed a corporate communications and politics degree. I did an honors in corporate communications following that. I then did a management advancement program at Wits Business School, and I've recently completed a global MBA degree at Doshisha University in Kyoto, Japan, under the scholarship of the Prime Minister Abe.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories, each one of you. It's a real joy and an honor. I think it confirms what I had in mind, to bring bright, smart, beautiful, young black women like all of you together and to come and share your stories, your life, your history, as well as your future with each other.
Okay, tell me about the breakfast and how exciting it was to be amongst other dynamic ladies just like you.
I was invited to go there. I didn't know exactly what it was about. So when I got there, I'm seeing these beautiful women, and now what they do was like, wow. Because someone from the rural areas, go Jamela, like far Limpopo, and what is she doing? I don't know, PhD in applied math. So it's just like, oh my goodness, that is amazing. So I was just astonished, and so I felt proud to be a black woman. And being young, looking at them just doing great things, I'm like, I'm coming.
You guys are relatively young.
I'm coming.
You guys are relatively young. And Masechaba, you're what, 30, 31?
I'm 31.
31, and you
20.
are?
20.
20.
Yes.
Young, beautiful, brilliant minds. What got you there?
Hard work.
Yes.
A lot of hard work.
Lots and lots.
And just a lot of sacrifice. I think Ntombi touched on it. I also grew up in Soweto, and
let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
I want to come back and talk about where you grew up and how that impacted on your life and how it got you to where you are, okay? When we come back just after the break. re ntse re tswela pele mona go Motswako re a leboga gantse le dutse le rona ga le batla go bona bokamoso ba naga ya lona shebang batšha ba ka galefa mme ba ikutlwa ba sa tsotelelege empa ba labalabela tsebo le go ba le seabo ikonoming thuto le mosetsi di ile tsa angwa ganyenyane fela breakfasteng le ko sheba.
Let me hear, what can we do? What can government do? What can society do to further the empowerment of black young women?
I'm very saddened to always go to certain schools and talk to girls, and they still think that they can only become teachers. And that's not a bad thing, but they want to become nurses and they want to become teachers. And when they meet young women like these women who say, I'm an advocate, I'm a lawyer, I'm an actuary, to them it is such a foreign thing. They cannot even conceive it. And the sad thing is that most of the interventions happen so late in the schooling career that by the time you meet these girls and tell them about actuarial science and law, they don't have the marks to get them in to study those qualifications. And not say everyone needs to do a degree, but just to work and be successful in whatever it is that they choose.
The issue I want to talk about is the issue of black tax. I believe it's not just a gender issue, it's more like a black issue, racial issue. Because most of us, it's not that we don't want to study further. You know, after you finish that undergrad degree, you're probably the very first one in your family, the first generation to ever go to varsity. You know, you want to go straight into the industry, start working, start earning an income, and help those that come behind.
Excellent. Very good. Let's hear more.
Sanitary issue is the biggest issue currently in schools. Girls tend to stay away from school for more than 5 days, losing out on schoolwork for more than 5 days just because they're on their period. So, and when they get to school, there's nobody to actually go to and say, Teacher X, this is my situation, how can you help me here? So there's a great gap. There's a gap there. We need that person. The person does not necessarily have to be a teacher, but somebody they can go to and then talk to about their issues.
One of the things that government needs to respond to is the issue of sanitary pads. And already there are initiatives that are underway that for those young girls who are from challenged communities.
Re ntse re tswela pele le bo ausi ba leng ka studiong le rona ebile re amohela Nandipha re a leboha ha ona le rona Nandipha. Nandipha, nhlalosetse hore wena mosebetsi wa hao ke eng?
I act as a civil society organization leader. What I do, I work within the community, helping to develop the community in different areas. Currently, my project that I'm working on is My Sister, My Keeper. It's an all-girls movement focusing on the development of young girls within the Northern Cape.
What pushed you there?
I used to work as a temporary teacher. I used to volunteer at the high school, Pabalelo High School in Uppington. And then from there, that's where I discovered that a lot of girls don't take interest in themselves and their futures anymore. And that's why I decided maybe somebody should just come in and take a charge, just give mentorship to these young girls. So that's what I'm doing.
Education is very important to you guys, and we spoke about it just a little earlier. What's your take on Fees Must Fall?
I think the cause is legitimate. I think having grown up in Soweto myself, I understand the struggle of a black child raised by a single parent, that access to education is limited by funding. And it feels and it looks like, and it probably is, it is really, that education and high tertiary education that grants us access to careers that will mobilize the economy is limited to the very few privileged.
But if Fees Must Fall stands, I'm all for the cause. But then I think when we talk about wanting change to be effective, to begin and say, how are we going to do this? And is what we are doing effective enough? Will it work? So we need to go back to the drawing board. All the students, government and everybody else should go back to see if the approach that is being taken now is actually relevant. Will it work? What about the next people stepping into the system, the tertiary education system?
Do you call yourself self-starters or inspirational?
You know, when somebody comes up to you and tells you that you're an inspiration to them, that's when you actually own it. That's when you know that I have inspired, so I'm going to own this. With me, I took that first step to actually say, without a cent, to actually say that I'm going to do this, I'm going to help the next person.
If you were president, if you were president?
I would enforce public sector to aid the Fees Must Fall and to put entrepreneurial programs within academic institutions, so that our system doesn't breed people who want to be employees but who have an entrepreneurial mindset from the time that they leave varsity.
I think also I would just go into fixing this Fees Must Fall thing, invest in education, especially from, like, because for me I think it all starts back to primary, to high school, because you get into varsity, you're from a township school, you don't know, you've never seen a laboratory lab. Now you get that, I tell you should go to the labs to do that. So I think I would invest more in just going back to primary, high school, and just giving the government schools those things that are at varsity. For me, the most important thing I would change in the education system is to give mentorship within the school, give guidance teachers, bring them back within the school, so that they can help young girls and boys to develop from that point.
Re tla tswela pele ka mora papatso e se le mo tsa 23 sa le apartheid empa batjha ba bangata le ba lokololileng ba ntse ba utlwa sekgahla sa kgethollo ha re utlweng haholwanyane ka mora papatso. Re ntse re tswela pele mona ho Motswako ke na le boausi ba batle haholo ka studio ka mo bile ba hlalefileng haholo ba etsa ntho tse makatsang tse ntle setjhabeng mo ba phelang teng re a leboha hantse le dutse le rona. Jwale racism and transformation e ne ile e nngwe e ntho tse di buiweng ka tsona breakfast mole ke batla go tsebe ho lona hore ka mora 23 years kaofela re kene mo morereng ke democracy le bona ho le jwang le ntse le bona kgethollo e le teng?
Mina ngibona kanjalo ukuthi sazathatha isikhathi ukuthi sifike to a place as a country where racism is completely eradicated. Because mina, from a corporate background, in my career, we've often seen an explicit situation where, because mina ngumuntu omnyama and I'm female, I will earn less. Or the access to climbing up the corporate ladder is slower for me.
The issue of racism, especially umuntu omnyama and you're a black woman, it's like, you have to work hard. It's just black people. So manje ngoba you're a black woman, you have to even work more harder just to get recognition and that sort of racism in a way, you know what I mean?
Sure. Okay. Jennifer?
With me, not personally. I got no personal encounter with in terms of racism. At the breakfast with the deputy president, there was a certain lady, the pilot lady, said her highlight that in the aviation industry, that's where it actually occurs. And it kind of opened up my eyes, and I had to follow up, what, we have an airport right here at home? And when I actually went around in a cake, and I'm like, how many black people, how many Indian people or colored people are actually working in this airport?
I'm not so sure whether we've gotten to a point where we really quantify the impact of racism in the society. I'm saying that because racism has too many implications in the process, one of them being the issue of transformation, particularly in the critical sectors. I like to speak more on aviation because that's my first-hand experience, where you have very few black people, female, and these are things that are predetermined. To say, if you're going to be attending a flight school, so many are going to make it.
Yeah.
Of the 100 that are going to be funded by government through the SETAs, it's already known how many black people are going to be passed. And that's an impact and implication of racism. Racism kills confidence, particularly in black people. For you to be a flight instructor, I'm sure you will have a book to write because it's not an easy journey.
I think with the racism, especially in aviation, it goes much deeper than what anyone realizes, because obviously it's white, male dominated, and as what you were saying, the government does so much for people of color. I mean, a commercial pilot license costs roughly over $500,000 for just one person.
The challenge that I've had in my corporate career is that, my white female colleague who does the same job as me always gets paid higher. And now that I'm venturing into business, I would quote a company, and I have the skills and I have the ability to deliver, but you get a call and say, but why are you charging this much? And you're like, but I have the same overheads as my white-owned female colleague entrepreneur. So why am I forced to, because I really need the business? And then when you don't deliver on or at the quality that they want, typical black-owned entity, but you're like, but you cut me down so much on what I had to price that how am I supposed to actually get the quality products or services or to be able to execute at the level that you need me to? So I think for me, being black and female and being an entrepreneur and having had a corporate career, and I think in corporate specifically, at the highest level, it's still white male decision makers. You find that my white female colleague who does the same work as me is protected somewhat by that institution or the Oval Office or that is at the top that is saying, pay her more, she's white. And you sit there and you try to not fight it because you also have a career to protect, and you also need to, you don't want to be seen as the angry black girl, you also want to, even if you are, but so for me, DP, I think my experience, other people have surrendered to the fact that
we're black, we're female, and perhaps we do here. So you find that sometimes you are alone in raising this issue because people are like, I've got 4 kids, listen, I can have my salary and go home. And you have no kids, so please, you have no school fees to pay, you can go and be an activist on your own to the executives at the top. So for me, that was a big challenge in my career, and I still experience this as a young entrepreneur.
What I love about what you're all doing is that your commitment to the empowerment process of women, of young black women, is the most impressive I've ever had. Each one of you is telling a story of how you would like to empower others. And with that, I'd like to thank you very much for coming, for agreeing to be part of this.
Abantu abadala, abantu abamnyama abadala, bayanceda na bona for nina youth ukuthi baniphakamise, banibonise izinto zibe ngcono.
Mina ngibona ngathi mhlambe kudepende ukuthi uphume ekhaya elinjani ngiyabona, because sometimes unokutshela umama ukuthi mama ngifuna ukuba udokotela or ngifuna ukuba i-pilot or whatever it is you want to be. So they have this thing, they say, umnyama mosi, so ungayapi, So I mean, some abakhona abasupportayo, mara abanye they have this thing ukuthi as a black child from a township, you can only do a limited career part, if I put it like that. Like, I don't know.
Namanje basa limit abantu ukuthi awukwazi yale hlala la. Uba unesi, uba ulawyer, uba udoctor.
Go do social work, go do nothing. You can't do actual science, you can't do mathematics, you can't do this. Or even if you apply for this, you can see this is like this is your comfort zone.
And I think Ntombi touched on something. I mean, I blame it because it goes near exposure, level of exposure. Some of our parents were not formally educated. So izinto nathi discovered by default through a friend, through Moyo register vits in the queue. Someone says, hey, did you try this? And you're like, what is that? And only then are you exposed. So we cannot blame Nati, our parents. They support what they know. But I'm very happy, we're going to be the generation of parents who are enlightened, who are educated, who have lived abroad, who came back, who are doing great things. And so guys, the world is your oyster. You can do more. Go out there.
Thank you so much. Re lebohela ha lebile rona mona ho Motswako. Jwale lena le iponela hore hwa kgonahala hore o ka tsamaya wa ba hodimo lona wa bana ledi ho tshwana le tsena dina ledi tse rena le tsona ka studio. Jwale re ho lona Afrika Borwa mona kaofela re lebella tse ngata ho tswa ho lona le batjha. Re jwale ha le batla ho bua le rona kopana le rona ho Twitter kapa ho Facebook ibile o sebedise Ask Motswako. Re lebohela nako ya lona kaofela tse ntle ho lona.